building.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotta make sure it's still working. Are you an e-cigarette user? If so, you may have thought using e-cigarettes was a lot safer. What was that? E-cigarettes are not safer? There are a few things you need to understand about e-cigarettes and their ingredients. E-cigarettes contain all kinds of unpronounceable names such as propylene glycol, glycerin, and many others. However, when you hear people talk about them, you wouldn't think that these would sound dangerous. After all, how can they be dangerous if they are seen in other products that have been deemed dangerous to all of our health? It is important to understand that even though the e-cigarettes and the e-cigarette industry have been around since the 1960s, that the method to stop smoking grew in its popularity in the last 20 years. Still, we have no idea what kind of long-term effects e-cigarettes have on a person's health. It can lead to a buildup of toxins at dangerous levels, similar to what you'd see in traditional cigarettes. My argument about e-cigarette safety versus traditional cigarettes came from numerous sources, including the American Lung Association, Quit Smoking Community, Harvard's article titled E-Cigarettes, Good News, Bad News, and How Stuff Works website. I carried out my research through the internet looking for credible news and medical sources. That is what I found out. This is what I found out. Historical timeline of electronic cigarettes tells us the first known e-cigarette device was noted in the 1930s by developer Joseph Robinson. Despite his being granted a patent in 1927, there's no record of his device being manufactured. The first credible e-cigarette device source was granted to Herbert H. Gilbert, who filed a patent in 1965. It never commercialized, perhaps because it did not contain nicotine. The first commercialized version came about in 1979. Although this version wasn't electronic, instead it used the nicotine evaporation to function. The rise in e-cigarette popularity came in the 1990s and 2000s, when both entrepreneurs and companies rushed to patent their nicotine inhaler devices. While most use the evaporation method to work, some designs are similar to what are currently being offered on the market today. China was the first country to offer the first successful commercial e-cigarette, and it came about after the inventor, 52-year-old Han Ling, watched his father die of lung cancer. He worked for Golden Dragon Holdings, who manufactured the device, and they called it Ryan, or the other term for Ryan is like smoke. Its popularity soared to Europe, the US, Canada, and Australia, and so many other countries. People became reliant on e-cigarettes to help them curb their nicotine addiction that came as a result of a long-term traditional smoking. It's why the e-cigarette industry became big businesses. Although it appears that e-cigarettes have been around for quite some time, their popularity has led to the emergence of many different kinds. The one constant is the ingredient that make up the e-cigarettes. Let's take a gander at what e-cigarettes comprise of. There are a multiple of ingredients that comprise the e-cigarettes. The National Center for Biotechnology Information discusses some of these with us. Nicotine is the most recognizable one. As you know from traditional cigarettes, nicotine is dangerous to your health. Matt McMillan writes in the WebMD that nicotine is a very addictive ingredient, stimulating the central nervous system and causing the body to increase its heart rate, respiration rate, and blood pressure. The biggest reason people smoke is because of the nicotine. Some of the other ingredients that go into e-cigarettes with unverifiable safety include diacetyl. This is a chemical used to add buttery flavor to the popcorn, which has been linked to obstructive lung disease when inhaled, or also popcorn lung. Formaldehyde, when generated on the maximum power throughout the day, may deposit more efficiency in the respiratory tract. So this could carry a higher chances of cancer. Acetaldehyde, this ingredient has been associated with alcoholism. It's colorless and flammable liquid with a suffocating smell. It's been linked to many forms of cancer. Acrolein is the result of heated glycerin, which is harmful to the lungs and can lead to heart disease. Glycerin is an odorless and colorless chemical with a sweet taste. It's seen in many products, such as food and drugs. The FDA has deemed it safe to use, though. Propylene glycol. This is used to make artificial smoke or fog and can irritate the lungs and eyes and can be harmful for people with chronic lung disease. There are many different kinds of flavorings with a plethora of tastes like chocolate, cinnamon, tobacco, cheesecake, strawberry, cherry, and many more. As you see, there are all kinds of chemicals that make up e-cigarettes, and even though many have been deemed safe to use, logic would suggest otherwise. This is especially true with ingredients like the formaldehyde, acrolein, and glycerin. Finally, let's talk about what countries and their medical agencies are doing in regards to the control and regulation of e-cigarettes. There are a host of countries that have taken steps to ban or attempted to ban the sale and use of e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes Review tells us what countries have banned the use and sales of these popular devices. In Argentina, this country has banned the outright import and sale of e-cigarettes in 2011, noting there was no significant scientific evidence that states that it's not dangerous for humans. They use the recommendations of the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, which stipulated there's no credible evidence of safety. In Brazil, this country, in June 2014, opted to ban the sale and manufacturing of e-cigarettes due to the presence of carcinogens in an FDA study.